AITA for purchasing my own home the very next day after my dad ordered me to start paying rent or leave. The burgers hissed and popped on the barbecue, but even that noise couldn't mask my father's booming announcement slicing through the backyard conversations. "Hey Marisol," he bellowed, wearing that sly grin that always signaled incoming drama. "You're 28 now. Time to start covering rent or pack your bags. This isn't charity anymore." Before we dive in, drop a comment below. Share where you're located and which city you're watching from. Once you've heard the entire tale, let me know in the comments what you'd do if you were in her shoes. Be real with it. We go through every single reply. Here we go. The chuckles that erupted weren't only from him. My stepmom Denise joined in, along with my younger stepbrother Tyler, who reclined in his lawn chair and popped open yet another can of light beer like he'd just heard the punchline of the century. My fingers clenched the flimsy paper plate so hard the sides folded inward. It wasn't merely what he said. It was the deliberate public humiliation. He'd chosen to drop this bomb right in front of our entire extended relatives, with neighbors flipping burgers on the other side of the fence, acting like they weren't eavesdropping that he intended for everyone to overhear. He wanted me embarrassed. I placed the plate carefully on the wooden table, struggling to hold my tone even. "Dad, you've been siphoning off half my salary for the past 6 years. I've covered the house payment and all the utility costs." His expression morphed into that phony, over-the-top shoulder lift he pulled whenever he was belittling someone. "That's simply helping out around here. If the arrangement doesn't suit you, go find your own roof." Tyler snickered. "Sure. Best of luck surviving on that entry-level analyst paycheck." The atmosphere grew heavy, saturated with the aroma of burning coals and an undercurrent of something uglier. Revulsion. Disloyalty. I sensed stares boring into me from every corner of the yard. Everyone assumed I'd swallow the insult, retreat to my bedroom, and sob quietly. Not today. I stepped nearer, near enough that the grill's sudden flare illuminated his arrogant smirk. "Okay then," I replied, keeping my volume low yet cutting. "You want me out? Consider it done." He burst out laughing, flicking the barbecue tongs toward me as though swatting at an insect. "Oh really? And exactly where do you plan to land? Back in that cramped studio you rented right after graduation? You've got zero savings, Marisol." The remainder of the afternoon passed in a haze of strained grins and hushed murmurs. Inside my head, however, a strategy was already forming. He had no clue about the secret preparations I'd been making for months. He had no idea the keys to my personal condominium rested inside my handbag. By the moment the cookout wrapped up, my decision was locked in. I refused to stretch this ordeal any longer. If he demanded my departure, he'd soon discover exactly how decisively I could act. And when I walked away, I wouldn't merely remove my belongings, that I'd strip away the monetary cushion he mistakenly believed he owned. The following morning, I shoved the final carton into my Honda's trunk. My fingers trembled, not with sorrow, but with the rush of impending freedom. I headed straight to my fresh residence. A pleasant 2-bedroom unit in a peaceful development on the opposite side of the city. The breeze felt cleaner already. Before lunchtime, the official deed bearing only my name rested atop the sleek granite countertop. Update 1. I fired off a brief, straightforward message to my father. "I've relocated. All household expenses belong to you from now on." The response arrived swiftly. Within 45 minutes, my screen glowed with his caller ID. I sent it straight to voicemail. Moments later, Denise rang. That call joined the others in voicemail. Come dinner time, the deep growl of a pickup truck echoed through the guest parking area beneath my building. Peering through the peephole, I watched my father climb out, complexion ashen, mouth set in a rigid line. Denise followed close behind, wearing an expression as if she'd tasted something rotten. When I stepped onto my modest balcony, he halted on the walkway beneath. "You're not actually doing this," he said, tone hushed yet pressing. I rested against the railing and folded my arms. "I already explained. You declared rent or leave. I picked leaving." My words grew pointed. "And I'm finished covering your house loan as well." The color drained entirely from his cheeks. Denise's mouth opened, yet no words emerged. Tyler remained seated in the truck, and even from afar he appeared unsettled. For the very first time, I grasped how much authority I'd handed over to them for so long, and I understood this was merely the beginning. Once their vehicle pulled away, I lingered on the balcony, simply inhaling. Not relief exactly. Not quite yet marked the initial breath in ages that carried no sensation of debt to another person. I wasted no moments. I stepped indoors, retrieved my computer, and began dismantling every financial link that had sustained them. Electricity account, name deleted. Natural gas, name deleted. Wi-Fi, television, water service, auto insurance, removed one after another. Each approval notification that arrived strengthened my posture a fraction more. 60 minutes afterward, my phone vibrated again. Dad calling. I disregarded it. Then Denise. Then Tyler. Not one received an answer. As dusk settled, the family chat exploded. Dad, this isn't amusing, Marisol. Internet's gone. Denise, you can't simply disconnect everything. That's not what relatives do. Tyler, hope you're pleased. You wrecked our movie evening. I composed one crisp sentence and hit send. I've relocated. The expenses fall on you now. Kindly refrain from arriving unannounced in future. I assumed that concluded matters, until the same truck reappeared outside my complex. Dad exited first, teeth gritted. Denise followed, arms folded tightly. Tyler stayed put inside the cab. Dad reached the lobby entrance and pressed my buzzer. I responded via intercom. What is it? His tone sounded taut. Okay, drop the act. You've proven whatever you needed to prove. Let us inside. Just reactivate the services for 7 days until we arrange alternatives. I studied him through the lobby camera. No. You've extracted more than $1,000 from every paycheck of mine for years. Yesterday you made your position crystal clear. You wanted me absent. I'm absent. So is my financial support. Denise emitted a sharp, acidic chuckle. Pretty heartless, huh? I answered plainly into the speaker. Heartless like mocking your own child in view of the entire block? Consider this strictly transactional. Dad parted his lips, yet for once silence followed. I witnessed an expression I'd never observed on him previously. Uncertainty. You'll manage, I stated. Exactly as I've had to. I disconnected, and after so many years, the truth settled at last. Control rested with me. The following sunrise greeted me with an unfamiliar stillness. Absent the thudding footsteps that once filled my father's home. No television blaring morning headlines. No Denise hollering over a lost discount voucher. Pure calm. I brewed coffee inside my compact yet brightly lit kitchen, watching vapor twist in the sunlight pouring across the sill. For an instant I nearly smiled, until my device began shaking on the surface. Text from Dad. Call immediately. Urgent. Electricity cut off. Fridge contents spoiling. We have to discuss. From Denise. If this family means anything to you, resolve this immediately. I set the phone aside. Their turmoil would not invade my peaceful morning. They were only now experiencing the weight I'd carried forever. Update 2. Utilities don't pay themselves automatically. Around midday the doorbell rang insistently. 3 forceful pushes. Camera check revealed Denise by herself. Enormous shades concealing most of her features. I cracked the door, keeping the security chain engaged. What now? Her grin appeared strained. Fragile. We simply require the vehicle insurance to stay under your name a few extra days. Tyler's got an important interview. I shook my head. That policy's already switched to my current residence. It belongs to me now. If Tyler operates a vehicle titled to Dad, he belongs on Dad's coverage. Her mouth tightened. You're only doing this to hurt us. No, I replied, resting against the frame. I'm finally refusing to let myself be hurt. She blinked, surprised by my composure. Your dad is livid, you realize. He acts this way purely because of stress. Work in contracting has dried up. That company shut down 3 years back. I interrupted. He's enjoyed 3 full years to secure different employment and cease depending on me as his main income stream. For a brief moment her facade cracked. Her stare turned icy. You'll feel sorry about this faster than you imagine. I shut the door silently. That evening, while sorting boxes in my fresh living area, another notification arrived. Fraud warning from the bank. Unusual access attempt flagged. My gut twisted. I logged in immediately. Multiple unsuccessful password entries, followed by an unfamiliar retail credit card opened in my name. Delivery address nowhere near me. The connection formed quickly. My handbag vanished at the previous residence roughly a year earlier, only to resurface 2 days afterward seemingly untouched. Or so it appeared. Tyler. I printed each message, each record, storing them neatly inside a binder marked boundaries in thick marker. Protection had evolved. I was now compiling evidence. Near midnight, another message from Tyler. Think your fancy new condo makes you superior? Better keep looking over your shoulder. I gazed at the words while fury inside me solidified into something calm and resolute. They hadn't merely forfeited income, they'd forfeited dominance. The more obvious that became, the nastier their reactions grew. The subsequent 48 hours passed eerily silent. No door buzzes. No ringing phones. Merely sporadic messages from Tyler dripping sarcasm or subtle warnings. I answered briefly, always preserving written records. Every request, every guilt trip, every effort to reel me back. Documented. On the third morning, that hush shattered. My phone vibrated relentlessly while I sipped coffee at the counter. Friends and distant relatives forwarded screenshots of Denise's Facebook rants, crafted in her signature victim tone. Certain individuals believe they can abandon family without consequence. After all the sacrifices we've made, we're literally sitting in darkness. The reactions followed the usual pattern. Acquaintances offering pity. Kin I hadn't contacted in ages inquiring about details. And naturally, her classic tactic, omitting crucial context to appear wronged. Most revealingly, nobody mentioned my name. Nobody tagged me. They aimed to craft the narrative while denying me any input. I ignored the trap. Instead, I contacted the electric provider, water authority, and broadband service once more, double-checking every transfer to their names had finalized. I granted zero room for manipulation. Midday, the intercom sounded again. Camera showed Dad solo, hands buried in coat pockets. I allowed entry to the lobby but intercepted him in the corridor beyond my door. What now? His volume was softer than anticipated, though the sharpness lingered. We've got an issue. The house payments. Correct, I replied before he continued. And since I hold no liability on the mortgage, that issue isn't mine. His gaze narrowed. Listen to your own words. You resided in that home your whole adult existence. You can't simply abandon responsibilities from one day to the next. I released a genuine, biting, joyless laugh. You mean the responsibilities you assigned me the instant I landed my initial permanent position? The ones you never discussed, simply assumed I'd shoulder. He advanced a step. You believe this modest apartment elevates you above the rest of us? That you can sit here safely while we sink? I held his stare without flinching. I'm not concealing myself. Dad, I'm simply finished serving as your emergency flotation device. His jaw flexed as though grinding multiple unvoiced warnings. Then he pivoted to depart, tossing a final barb behind him. You'll regret choosing this path when you inevitably beg to return. I re-entered my unit, relishing the firm snap of the lock. Begging to return had vanished from my future. That evening, as daylight faded, I observed their collapse unfold. An old neighbor phoned, speaking quietly like she was revealing classified information. They were screaming in the driveway, something concerning an overdrawn account. Denise shrieked she couldn't purchase food, while your father blamed everything on you. I expressed gratitude, ended the call, and remained seated in reflection for quite some time. Finally, they tasted the burden I'd endured for years. The following day, I resolved to demonstrate this went beyond my exit. It concerned reclaiming every fragment of autonomy they'd appropriated. I visited my bank, conferred with a supervisor, and terminated our final shared checking account, originally established during my teenage years. Walking out, the binder inside my bag felt denser, more substantial, utterly comprehensive. Later that night, Denise messaged, "Okay, lesson learned. Just assist us through this single month. We swear we'll handle everything afterward. I left it unanswered. 2 hours afterward, her Facebook featured a fresh entry. Interesting how folks transform once they decide you're no longer useful. Yet karma eventually teaches everyone humility. For once, her statement rang true. Karma indeed teaches humility, and her education had only commenced. Saturday morning brought the ideal revelation. While enjoying coffee and browsing messages, an email arrived from the mortgage servicer, directed to my father yet CC'd to my address due to outdated records. Subject: critical, delinquent balance and scheduled foreclosure sale. Initially, I assumed error. I'd vacated weeks prior and severed all connections to that property. Yet opening it revealed the lender retained my contact as an auxiliary from long ago. The notice was stark. 2 consecutive missed installments. 0 restructuring proposal submitted. Auction scheduled 30 days hence. I sat motionless, eyes fixed on the monitor. Here it was. Tangible confirmation that their bold bravado rested on nothing solid. The former version of me would have spiraled into anxiety, rushed to intervene, emptied reserves once more to rescue them. The current version selected print, then tucked the document securely inside my boundaries binder. By midday, the expected desperate buzzing resumed at my entrance. Camera displayed the complete trio this time. Dad, complexion crimson with rage. Denise, mouth compressed into a narrow slash. Tyler smirking like someone anticipating entertainment. I exited into the corridor, securing my door behind me. Dad launched immediately. You received the letter. We cannot forfeit the residence, Marisol. Will you step up or not? I folded my arms. No, I will not. We remain your family, he shouted, voice reverberating off the walls. I kept my volume steady. Family doesn't treat you like an ATM. Family doesn't mock you publicly before the neighborhood. And family absolutely doesn't open fraudulent credit lines in your name, then anticipate forgiveness. Denise advanced, scowling around the deserted passage. Must you create drama? Indeed, I responded evenly. Since you had zero issue creating drama whenever it benefited you. Unreal, Tyler grumbled quietly. Update 3. I faced him. You're correct. What's truly unreal is how long I permitted this nonsense. My father's tone descended to that low, menacing register he deployed when intimidation still worked. Walk away now and you cease existing to us. I offered a smile devoid of warmth. Then I'll cease existing to you, while finally existing fully for myself. I retreated toward my entrance, but paused long enough to withdraw the printed foreclosure document from my binder and display it clearly for their view. This, I declared, words slicing the stillness, is the consequence when the individual you've exploited stops supplying blood. I released the page. It drifted to the hallway floor at their feet. My door closed with a decisive, gratifying thud. Through the viewer, I observed them motionless. Dad stood rigid. Denise scanned the corridor in embarrassment. Tyler nudged the carpet as though it owed him personally. They departed wordlessly. That evening, I uploaded one understated line to my profile. Occasionally, the kindest favor you can offer is allowing someone to rely solely on their own strength. If you enjoyed the rewrite, drop a comment below and consider subscribing for more stories like this. Catch you in the next one.